Thank you. So I think this is the last one before coffee. I'll try and talk as fast as I possibly can. And thank you for allowing me to come and speak about a slightly different interface for some web interactivity, and that's using an application called Slack that some of you may or may not have heard of. Down? Oh yeah, okay. So this is what Slack looks like. It's a messaging application. I imagine a lot of people in the room have used it. Has anyone used Slack in the room? A show of hands? Yeah, quite a few people. It's like Teams, if you've used Teams, but better. Yeah, it's mostly a messaging app. You can see here lots of text, people chatting to each other in lots of channels on the side. It's also used predominantly at Diamond for sharing memes. All of these come from the last couple of weeks, actually, in various Slack channels that I'm in. But according to Slack, this is according to their own description of what their application is. It's a messaging app for business that connects people to the information that they need. Now, sometimes you need memes, but sometimes you need actual information about what's going on your Beamline. And maybe you're a member of, you're a Beamline staff, and you want to just use Slack to maybe get some information about what's going on. And so this is kind of the motivation for what we started doing. And we took some inspiration from various functionalities that you can add into Slack. So Slack comes with something called Slackbot. You may have come across Slackbot. He's, or she, they, I guess, very friendly. And so here's some simple functionality that Slackbot can do. You can type, you can see at the bottom here, this is what I'm messaging towards, I'm just typing /remind. This is a slash command in Slack. Remind here, this is the channel that I'm in, to add a screenshot of this to the slides in 30 seconds. And I press enter. And then Slackbot says, yeah, all right, I'll do that. It says that to me. It also announces it to the channel. And then 30 seconds later, it says, take a screenshot of this and add it to the slides. So this is a simple functionality that, I personally use quite a lot. It's quite useful to I just need to remind myself or remind this channel that we need to do this thing, we need to go for lunch or whatever. And if we if we think about how maybe this is working behind the scenes, we're typing into our client. I showed you the desktop client, before, but there's also obviously a mobile client, and I'm typing /remind me in 5 minutes or whatever, and that's going to some nebulous Slack headquarters API somewhere, I don't even know where. And then that's probably seeing that I've used this /remind command, and it's sending it off to the Slackbot part of the service, wherever that is. And it's probably got a database. This is all literally just guesswork. And sometime later, the Slackbot's going to see in its database, oh, I need to remind Dean that we need to put that slide in. And so then it sends the reminder back sometime later. And it turns out you're actually allowed to replace Slackbot with your own bot, if you like. You can create your own app or your own bot, and that's exactly what we've done. So now, instead of remind, we don't want to reproduce, we don't want to reinvent the reminder wheel. We're going to do something, whatever it is. That's going to go to Slack, and then Slack will send that message to our app and our database, and then either instantly or sometime later we can send a message back. So this is DLS bot. That's very imaginatively titled. It runs on-prem at Diamond. It uses Slack's Python Bolt SDK. Slack provide two SDKs. One is for hosting your own server, your own app, and one is for hosting on their servers. And Bolt is the one for self-hosting, so we use that. It's just written in Python. It connects using WebSockets, so we have some tokens that allow the connectivity. We have a database, it's in MongoDB, where we store these requests that a user might want, and then we have a pool of workers which iterate through those requests, and if they see that an action needs to be taken, then the worker does that. And it's deployed in Kubernetes because we're cool. So this is, if you're interested, this is just an example of what a Slack app can be. It's a very simple one. There's some imports at the top and some of these tokens that I mentioned. And we see here that we're looking for a particular event called app mention. So in the app, this means if you literally type at the name of the bot that you're talking to, this function app mention will get triggered, and you can see we get the message text out. We're going to take out the name of the user that's being tagged, and we're going to do a juvenile response, and we're going to say that response back and acknowledge that we have done something with that message. And so if you put that in, we don't put that into the official DLS bot. This is going into my own personal bot. So then you can tag Dean's demo app in a message, and it will respond to you using the Python code that you've written. written. So you can see it's not very complicated to write some Python to do something. And because this Python is running on site, we can do some interesting, useful things, and I can access them from my phone anywhere. So now this is on my phone, and we're going from left to right. So you see I'm start typing here /GDA. We run GDA on a lot of our beamlines at Diamond. And maybe I want to know the status of, you can see /GDA in a few of these commands. These / commands pop up. Maybe I want to know the status of I18, and I send that message, and then it says, hi, Dean, here's the status. The queue status is running. There's one scan in the queue. It's 36% done, and here's a link to SyncWeb if you want to click on it. So that's kind of useful, right? That's, you can maybe get some information. Maybe you're having a coffee, and you want to see what's going on the beamline. It's kind of fun. But I mean, it's not doing anything that a little browser-based server couldn't do very easily, right? I mean, it's just showing me some information. So what else can it do? Well, actually, maybe you're going to go for coffee, but you want to be reminded of when this scan is finished. So it's got this functionality as well. So this is now back to the desktop application. I keep switching between desktop and phone to make it as jarring as possible for you to watch. This is the last message from the previous slide. And now what I've done is I've set up a reminder, and now it's got a little status bar for this message, for this scan that's going on. And then because Slack keeps a handle, we can keep a handle on this message. We can update it as a function of time. So as the scan progresses, this goes on towards the end, and then at the end of the scan, this goes green because scan's finishing is good, and then it sends another message to the channel telling me that scan on I18 has ended and that was complete. And because this is a new message sent to the channel, if I've got notifications turned on my phone, I actually get this is obviously a screenshot of the home page on my phone saying, hi, that scan is finished. And if I'm having my coffee, now I need to know that I can go back to the beamline to do the next thing, whatever it is I need to do. So that we can kind of take that kind of idea and we can run with it a little. So we can also say, well, as you just saw, GDA scan end, let me know when this scan ends. There's also another / command, which is notify me when all the scans are done. So maybe you queue up 20 scans. It will then let you know at the end of the 20th scan. Or you can set up this GDA monitor, which is a time-based request, and it just basically watches GDA for the period of time that you ask for, and then if the status of the beamline goes from good, something that is classed as good, to something that we class as bad, then it sends you a message. So that's for when you set up, like basically I'm local contacting an experiment for a week, like a GDA monitor for a week, and then if at any point during that week the beamline goes wrong, I get a Slack message straight away telling me. But as we all know, as we've heard a lot at this conference, GDA is very 2023. And maybe you're also running Blue Sky on your beamline. And so we have the Blue API as something that I think is at least partly co-developed at Diamond. And Blue API is a REST API that allows you to get the status of your Blue Sky runner, your run engine. So we've got this status as well. So now if I want to know the Blue API status on IO4, I could do the same thing as I could with GDA, and I get this little status message back. And we're just in the process now of adding the functionality to have the same kind of functionality to request and watch. Stop that. Just to request and watch this Blue API status. So then that same idea that you can maybe watch it for a day, and if anything goes wrong, it will let you know. Finally, because it's running on-prem at Diamond, it has access to basically anything that you can access if you happen to be sitting at a computer at Diamond. And we have these ideas of, you may have, if you've ever been to Diamond or to ISIS, we have federal IDs or federated IDs, your Fed ID. It's a completely random, if you were born after the 50s, it's 3 letters and 5 numbers. So in the olden days, it was smaller, but now most of everyone will have 3 letters and 5 numbers. But there's no relation between this code and who you are. So lots of places you'll see on the file system, this file belongs to FER 45166. It's not necessarily very easy to find out who that is. And similarly, if you know who I am, it's not very easy to find out what my Fed ID is. But so there is an LDAP server where all this stuff is all this data is accessible. So I've also added in a little Fed ID / command, and you can then Fed ID the Fed ID, and it will do a search and respond to you with that. So another little kind of extra thing we've added in, nothing to do with the scanning. So to summarize, we've written some pretty simple Python code, which you invoke from a Slack client and it will respond to you. Essentially any information that a Python process running where your app is running can be surfaced in the app. And you do slightly need to be conscious of scopes. So scopes are what your app is and is not allowed to do. So you can basically just tick, yeah, my app can do everything, but then, I mean, it has access to like every channel that it's added to and can like log every single message and all this kind of stuff. So you just need to be conscious about that. And the fact that our Slack logins are not single sign-on. So there are some non-Diamond staff members who are in Slack, so we just need to be careful that we don't surface any information that random people should not be looking at. But everything at the moment is anonymized, and as I showed earlier, there was a link to SyncWeb, so we rely on other people's applications having single sign-on to reveal actual information that needs to be protected. And just to acknowledge, most of the work actually was done not by me, but by Abby, who did a great job, also making it so that you could get the status of GDA using a web request in the first place, because that wasn't even possible to start with. Ben and Callum, who have helped me out with some of the other functionality, and various colleagues from the data analysis group who shared most of the memes. It's currently on our internal GitLab, mostly because it's like a few hundred lines of Python and not particularly interesting. But if anyone's interested in taking a look, this is certainly something that we can address. So just either send me an email or come and find me at the coffee break. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much. So, if I was going to try and do something like that, Jake mentioned all the policies and the everything going on at Diamond. Wouldn't that just kill something useful like that?
Well, it's not a web application, you see. It doesn't use React, so it's just Python code. It's fine.
Just checking. And yes, I was born after 1950. Thank you. Any questions?
Are you concerned that the long-lived access token to interact with this bot presents a security issue?
Not really.
He doesn't write the policy.
It's because the answer should be yes, but in reality, it's an application that everyone uses. We're not surfacing any information that is not available to any user, not just staff, right? We're not surfacing information that's available only to staff. If you are a user and you are logged into any machine, maybe if you're even logged into if you're using our Wi-Fi network, you can access this information. So we're not surfacing anything that's needs to be restricted in that way. And if a nefarious agent gets hold of a token and is able to post messages into a Slack channel, I would say that is hardly the biggest cybersecurity issue that we face as a group of facilities.
Okay. Brilliant. Then we will finish just before time and thank all the speakers. And Dean, again, thanks so much. Thank you all very much.